Our third and final speaker is Dr. Gabriel CAVAGLION, who is an associate professor at the Ashkelon Academic College, and he specializes mostly in the reaction to social deviance, and he's going to talk to us today about, is Lev Tahor a destructive cult?
Okay, we will have some similarities with the former presentation, with one little difference. We will learn a little bit Spanish and Hebrew. And my accent is Italian, so we have a mix of all the Jewish diaspora. So we are dealing with Lev Tahor, a group which is considered as ultra-Orthodox by a few of members of Judaism, and as a sect or a cult by others. I will first describe this group and then discuss the issue of is it a cult or some marginal or deviant group inside or outside of Judaism. So the beginning, similarly to the former lecture, starts with another person named Erez Albaranes. Is a typical Sephardic name. Sephardic means from North Africa, who changed his name to Shlomo Helbrans. Helbrans sounds more Ashkenazi name. It means Central and Eastern Europe Judaism. And he emerged as a penitent or repentant Jew. We call it Baal Tshuva or Chozer B'Tshuva. And in his early 20s, he self-styled as a rabbi in Jerusalem. Today, Helbrans considers himself, with his members, as the Hasidic Admor. Admor is the highest title in Hasidism courts. Hasidic Admor of Riminov congregation, the incarnation of 12 saints. Just to know, Riminov is a little city in the Carpathian area, and Albaranes didn't have any genealogical or biological or historical connection with this Hasidism or this area in Eastern Europe. Lev Tahor in Hebrew means pure heart. It was founded in Jerusalem in the late 80s and is now, today, composed of about 250 adult people and almost 150 children. The numbers are not clear. Sometimes the media speaks about 300, sometimes 500. For sure, the number of children is very high. It departed from Hasidic ultra-Orthodox Jewish stream and created an autarkic community without clear bonds to Jewish tradition. As a small and secluded group, it regularly declared itself to be following the strict fundaments, norms of the Torah. We can call it the Bible, the Tanakh. I have a problem with Old Testament because if we say Old Testament, we also have to say New Testament. And as a Jewish, I prefer to call it Torah. And he claimed to have returned to the rituals of his ancestors. The group defines itself as completely separated by other Jewish streams and the rabbinical authorities, and time and again imposes new arbitrary laws and punishments against its member. It ignores excommunication from leading rabbis in the world, mainly from New York area, Brooklyn, and Monsey, and Borough Park. In this way, it formed a separation from the fundaments of Judaism, being part of the Jewish collective, solidarity, mutual help, Klal Israel, Ezra Adadit, which are part of being all together and being a guarantee, Arevim ze leze, a guarantee of a Jew to other Jews, wherever he is, wherever he lives, of course. Lev Tahor is not a new group. Due to early marriages, the founders in their 40s are now mostly grandfathers. Their children grow up and married inside the group without any knowledge of life outside, any skill to survive in a world they never see, a language they will never know. Yiddish is the only language. Yiddish is a kind of dialect took from German, Old German, and a mixture of Polish and Hebrew, and usually is the language used by a few Hasidic courts in Israel and elsewhere. Therefore, the third generation of newborns from the marriages inside the group is socialized from the very beginning into a secluded, regimented, ignorant, and poor form of life. This is their world. No math, English, French, Hebrew, or mandatory curriculum. No toys, no books, except religious texts, but only a few religious texts. No secular or Gentile stimulation. What is more important, similar to other ultra-Orthodox movements, they adopt anti-Israeli attitudes. We have groups in Israel that are anti-Zionist. We have groups in England or United States, Canada. They joined to this movement similar to Naturei Karta or Toldot Aharon. Here we can see the children, images from their children. As you can see, they are different in the dress from any other Hasidic movement. We can say that the boys are more similar to the old boys in yeshivas in the 18th century in Europe, but the women are more similar to Arab women. So we have an Ashkenazization, something like this. They get more Ashkenazified as boys and more Arabified as women, at least in their dress. Torah and prayer is the daily routine for children and for adults. Shachrit, the first prayer we pray in the morning, takes at least between 4 to 8 hours. I have documents that today they pray 8 hours for Shachrit. That means they wake up at 4 in the morning and up to the noon. They still go on praying slowly, word by word, with some kinds of mantra, chanting, and meditation. Of course, this group created a movement of concerned relatives in Israel, and they became more active mostly after 2010, when more and more documentation, media information, ex-cult members, defectors, and political activists in Israel started to pay attention to this movement. During the years, most family members were completely shunned by relatives in Lev Tahor and did not have access to their location in the US, Canada, and Guatemala. Others were cursed by their children. Others acts of violence and abuse. Various whistleblowers spoke out. Time and again, the allegations of violence were the same: consistent, clear, solid, and convincing. Their reaction and their pain were disseminated by the Israeli Parliament Committee for the Rights of Children and attracted the headlines of local, Canadian, American, and international media. Just to say, if you click Lev Tahor on Google, you can see many, many thousands, dozens of thousands entries to this group. This is a Genesis, and I would like to show you the Exodus. We have a similar map as we saw about Berland, but of course in a different direction. Sorry. Okay, so the movement moved from Israel first to New York. I'm sorry, the map is not so precise. They moved to New York. Hellbrands had a criminal issue of kidnapping a guy who was imprisoned for 2 years. Then he was sent back to Israel. He escaped again Israel, and he moved, receiving refugee status in Canada, number 3, and he settled there for almost 10 years in a small village in Quebec named Saint Agathe. But after 2012, the attention of the media, social workers, police officers, and the Jewish community in Montreal started to spot this group and to put it under surveillance, mostly because of allegation of child abuse, forced marriage of children at the age of 13, forced marriage of girls at the age of 13 with adult 30 years men, and physical punishment. When the grip of the authorities started to close on this group, in one night they moved to Ontario, to Chatham, Kent, for a small period until the law enforcement started to investigate again against the group. And so in one night, they moved to Guatemala. In San Juan La Laguna, number 5. They settled there for a few months, but they were forced to leave not because of law enforcement investigation, but because of the resistance and the hostility of the natives in this touristic place. Then they moved to Nicaragua City. They stayed there for, again, almost a few months. They moved again into the jungle for a small period, hoping that this is their promised land and they can settle there with barbed wire and surveillance, out of far away from the eyes and the scrutiny of the authorities. But surprise, surprise, when I was finishing my paper, I was informed that now they are not there anymore. This group is not in Guatemala anymore. We don't know the reason why they were forced to leave, maybe some political pressure. And now they are resettling, probably in San Juan's La Chiapas in Mexico. Okay, so this is an exodus. So, leaving the US and Israel and resettling in St. Agathe, Quebec, 2004. After police and welfare raids, they are resettling in Chatham, Kent, Ontario, November 2013. After investigation in Ontario, escaping to Guatemala. This is a resort, touristic resort, San Juan La Laguna, but during this period, they merged with Toiras Jesed, a converting Mayan Natives. They created one group, a mixture of converted, repentant, very, very strange mix of ultra-Orthodox Judaism. Uriel Goldman, an Israeli guy who deserted the army and joined Hellbrands in his 18, 20 years old, is now the spokesperson of the group. Due to his mother language, Spanish, he's very active in the media. You can find many, many interviews on YouTube. In San Juan, as said, we can see opposition of natives and incompatibility and clash of cultures. Therefore, for their own safety, they had to move again, to escape by bus and to resettle in Guatemala City industrial area. I will show you a short dispatch. You can see all the dispatch in the media. It is in Spanish, but I think the pictures are
Voy a convivir con judíos ultraortodoxos durante 21 días.
Va a tener que cambiarse, esto cubierto el cabello, sin maquillaje.
Es que no tenía ni idea de que la mujer fuera vestida como en el Islam, con un burka. Me cuesta muchísimo trabajo ver por dónde voy.
Ya.
Tenemos que ir un poco separados.
8 pasos.
Ajá.
Es indignante cómo te sientes como mujer, siempre detrás.
Esto es muy fuerte, que tengamos que subir por la misma escalera separados por una sábana.
¿Por qué? Nunca han visto a gente de fuera.
Ellas no les permiten ir afuera.
Están aterradas.
Y antes de venir aquí a Lev Tahor, ¿qué os gustaba hacer?
Sinceramente no es bueno recordar.
Llevabas 5 años estudiando para ser bailarina. ¿Y ahora qué es lo que queréis ser de mayores?
Amas de casa como mujer.
Quiero realmente respetarles, pero se me hace muy difícil. Lo único que les preocupa no es la educación de sus hijos ni la felicidad. Les preocupa cumplir normas.
I just translate the last sentence. I respect them, but these people are very nuts. So, again, inside this compound in Guatemala City, we had a raid, a police raid, due to Israeli and Canadian pressure. They didn't find any substance or allegation to arrest any of the group, but the group again started to move. One of the proactive relatives was Oded Twig. He has a site in the media. He rescued his sister from Guatemala City, and in his site he said, Lev Tahor is a concentration camp in the jungle. This is his last post in his Facebook page. His campaign in social media has many, many pictures. Concentration camp in the jungle, and you cannot imagine some similarities, or you can imagine some similarities with this picture. This is a Chibok Boko Haram kidnapping. Think what you want, but my free association brought me to this image. Okay, numbers. We have, after 5 years of investigation, collecting dozens of depositions, emerged the first judiciary definition of a dangerous cult in Israel. This is the first time a judge used the term of dangerous or harming cult, destructive cult. And she says, the judge, Rivka Makayes, a few months ago, based on the conduct of the sect toward minors, it is sufficient to call this group as a dangerous cult that severely damages the physical and emotional well-being of the children of the community. She collected 352 paragraphs based on allegation, deposition, first and second-hand testimonials on 12 issues: leadership, secrecy, and so on. You can read all these issues that characterize, according to cult scholars, let's say the critics of among cult scholars, what a cult should be. This ruling comes in response to a petition filed to the court by the Israeli Attorney General and sect members, and gives more support to local several family members and authorities to implement child protection action. This is a ruling more on a declaration level, is not on implementation or punishment level. Lev Tahor used counterclaims. I have been told that they know about my conference, and members of CESNUR have been already notified about their position of my conference. I am sorry they are not here to listen to my conference and then to react. But they claim two claims. First, they are victims of Israeli persecution because they are anti-Zionist, and they claim anti-Semitism, and they use human rights slogans or human rights discourse. Zionism and anti-Semitism are our persecutors. You can see an image which can remind Nazi oppression. The use of yellow stars. Leviticus. Levi in Hebrew means he will join. Livui, lelavot. They are assisted by outstanding Canadian lawyer and legal consultant, Gidi Maman, who deals mostly on immigration issues, passport, and so on. The leading spokesperson, Uriel Goldman, was one of the first members at Lev Tahor inception. And we can find adherents, Haredi burkas in Bet Shemesh, Israel, and sympathizers, Shoals women in Jerusalem today. Now, in Deuteronomy, they were resettling in the secluded compound of Oratorio Santa Rosa, Guatemala. In September 2016, I was sure that this was their last stop. They created a tent separating sexes, reaching the promised land, starting to build. But a few days ago, we know that they moved again. We don't know why they moved again to Mexico. In the Juarez, Chiapas region, Mexico. When they came there, they used the spokesperson to say that we are good people. So I don't want you to go into Spanish, but He says, just a few days ago, we represent a religious community. We can give benefits for all the population, and we can bring business and economical activities, and it can give benefit to all your generation as you are. The fact that we dress differently doesn't mean that we are bad people. So, Deuteronomy means repeating laws again, and here is the main problem of the group. They are more severe with new norms of prohibition and zealotry, alien to other traditional Hasidic and ultra-Orthodox groups considered extreme, such as Satmar or Toldot Aaron, such as prohibiting the eating of chicken and eggs because of allegation of genetic engineering, or covering women's feet with sleep sacks because it's not modest to sleep with bare feet. The self-styled Rebbe, the only chain to God, as he claims, is not accountable to any authority, even those inside ultra-Orthodox anti-Zionist Judaism. The leader apparently forced use of psychoactive drugs, commanded physical punishment to take the evil out, and dictated feeding and living conditions as in basement, usually, as punishment of mental pressure. Forced marriages between children of the group are decided and performed by the leader only. Helbrand stated that he married off his child at the age of 13, achieving the blessed tradition of the past. We found material, according to dispatches and also documents from the courts in Canada, many confidential material. I have material of set underage marriages of girls aged 13 and 14 with men aged 28, 30, 35. The leader can also order divorces and appoint masters who are directly subordinate to him and who manage the activity of the cult. The Welfare Commission has the power to remove children from one family to another for a period of years, in case where they believe that parents do not educate the children accordingly to the leader imperatives. The imposition of given names to newborns and the changing names of new recruits can be seen as an extreme step to take away any form of personal identity. We can talk about total institution as as Irving Goffman defines, it's a degradation ceremony which strips away any identity kit. Among other punishments, banning rejection from the congregation, splitting up husband and wife, either temporarily or by forced divorce, hitting, spanking, slashing, and temporary exclusion from the home and from the activity of the community. So the question is Lev Tahor a sect? Personally, I am a critic about the term of cults. I think the cults in general are political or catch-all social metaphors or construction. If we talk about sect, we can say that if we use the term sect as a dissection or separating completely from the mainstream Judaism in general, Lev Tahor is a sect. Now, if we use the term cult, if we mean creating a cultivating or a new subculture with idiosyncratic paradoxes, yes. If we examine the group according to the attributes defined by the critics of anti-cult scholars, and believe me, I don't love them, but if we base their characteristics of cults, our sociological research compared with the judiciary investigation of Macias, we can suggest with some caveats that in this specific case, the definition of destructive cult can be, with some, again, some caution, can be applied on the case of Lev Tahor. Thank you very much.